Good evening, and welcome to this live section of Monday Connection. Great to be with you this evening. I'm Niki Seberini, the Mind Freedom Fighter, and every Monday and Thursday I've been spending about 30 minutes with you, sometimes longer, at 7 o'clock, and Monday's been about meditation and Thursday a discussion, and so we have combined the two this evening, and I really hope that you're going to enjoy it. So what I really do is we're going to start off with a quick meditation, and then we're going to have a discussion. And the discussion this evening is about just aware and being conscious and waking up. I'm not going to go into detail about awareness. We could certainly explore embodied awareness and conceptual awareness later on down the line. But for those people who have really joined for the very first time, I repeat ideas, I repeat information, basic information, so we're all on the same page when I move forward with it. And it's really the same when it comes to 5 fundamental truths of reality and thought and feeling and past and future and present. And so I will give you bits of information as we go along, and please feel free, if there's something that you don't understand, or if there's something you're not happy with, there is a comment section, and I am more than happy to answer any questions that you have. So we're going to start off with a meditation, and I really want to just clarify here once again with meditation. You have people who enjoy meditation and you have people who don't. And then you have people who don't really enjoy meditation, but they still meditate. And they do it because of the incredible benefits that you get from meditation. So meditation is used for many things. You can transcend, you connect with your deeper self. Some people attach it to a religion, a philosophy. The meditation that I do with you during this session, you could take it as far as you want, but really I focus on mindfulness meditation. Because with mindfulness, you are awakening to your thinking, to the moment, to this experience. And when you are in the moment and in this experience, you're not lost in past and you're not lost in future, and you have everything you need to deal with this moment. And yet we have a mind that gets lost in thought without us even doing anything. We get lost in thought. And so this mindfulness meditation teaches us to be in the moment. So going back to who does meditation, some people just feel it's very, very difficult. So it's kind of like going to gym. Sometimes a meditation is tough. Sometimes you feel uncomfortable. Other times it's effortless and you feel amazing and connected. Persevere. Keep doing it. Understand that it doesn't have to be perfect. Understand that sometimes you have a meditation when you spend most of it lost in thought because you have a busy mind. But the mere fact that you've taken time out to meditate, that you've taken time out to bring yourself to the moment, to connect with this moment, to be aware when thoughts are coming and going, is incredible, because you've taken the very first step in transforming yourself and transforming your life. Transformation is possible at any stage of your life, but it begins with becoming conscious, and it begins with being aware of these habits that you have, a habitual way of thinking, a habitual way of speaking, a habitual way of reacting, responding in a situation. So what my focus is on tonight is bringing that awareness and that focus to the now. So Dan Brule, in fact, I did an incredible breathwork workshop with him just last year, because just the mere fact that we look at breathing and how more and more people are using breathing to, first of all, help with inflammation and acidity and alkalinity in the body. It helps with focus, it helps with concentration, it helps with connecting with that infinite wisdom, your larger yourself, your infinite connection with universe that exists, that is within us. Breathing can take us there. Breathing can move us from the parasympathetic, from the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. Breathing can just bring us into this moment. It is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I'm personally using breathing more and more and really enjoying the benefits. Okay, so Lorraine says, turn up the sound. Let me try that. Okay, Lorraine, I hope that's louder, but if I make it too loud, there's going to be an echo. So I'm hoping you can hear me. And give me a thumbs up if it's better. So Dan Brulet's quote, awareness allows us to go outside our minds and observe it in action. Outside our minds and observe it in action. How is it possible for us to go outside our minds? What do you think Dan Brulet means by that? Is he talking about a spiritual, esoteric thing where we leave our bodies and we can observe ourselves as we leave? And what does that even mean? Does it mean we have a soul and that leaves? I don't know what your personal belief is. But what does he mean by awareness allows us to get outside of our minds and observe it in action? And well, we don't have Dan Brulet with us this evening, but in my mind, hi Sheila, Penny, Lorraine, great to have you. In my mind, Dan Brulet is pointing to the fact that there is an observer and then there is a thinker. That we have a thinking mind and we observe the mind. Now, if you've been following my Facebook Lives, this is nothing new. This is no new secret. And yet maybe you hear me saying it week in and week out, and it still hasn't hit you. The incredible brilliance, the realization of this, because when you fully realize the impact that this has on your life, then you start to see everything completely differently, because you realize that all of those thoughts that pass through your mind are just thoughts, that you are the observer. And when you are aware of that, you become the observer of the mind working and just secreting all of these thoughts and creating an experience. And what do I mean by that? We are never ever experiencing the external world. We are only ever experiencing our own mind. So Dan Brulet is saying that when we become aware, when we wake up, when we are conscious, when we are in this moment, it allows us to get outside of our mind. So we separate from this thinking mind and we wake up to the fact that we are the observer, and we can observe that in action, and we realize we are not our thoughts. We realize that those thoughts going through our mind, it's just our mind secreting thoughts, and that we are far bigger than that, and we can transcend all of that noise, all of that worry, the sadness, the depression, the anxiety, the fear, the anger, the disappointment, all of those things that are coming up from situation and situation and situation in our past that got stored because we didn't know what to do with it. We were young, we didn't know how to process it. It got stored, and all of that imprints on this present moment, but not us, the observer. That thinking mind, the thinking mind. So the idea, over and over, I'm going to keep repeating it because this is key. When you realize that you are the observer, then you are free. You are free to expand, to grow, to notice your reactions and realize that you are not that. So we have this external and this internal world. The internal, the observer, the thinking mind, the external reality. And reality is unfolding, whether we are here or whether we are not here. This is what reality is doing. Reality, cells are being created, new cells are dying. We're breathing, plants are growing. The sun is rising, the sun is setting. Reality is unfolding. It is the external world, that which we have very little control over. And yet our experience of that external world is born out of what we are thinking in the moment, because it is our experiencing our mind and not the external world. So I'm bringing in lots of that. We're going to go into a meditation, but let me just check to see. Yes, so Sheila's also said a little bit louder. Lorraine has said much better. Let's see, Sheila, better. Good, good. Right. Let's get started. We're starting with a meditation, and I always say, just look around you. Look around you. Where are you in this moment? You in a room? Are you sitting on the floor? Are you on your bed? Are you on a chair? How does the surface of that chair feel? Is it hard? Is it cold? Is it soft? Does your buttocks fit lovely and deliciously in that cushion? Do you have to keep moving around to find a bit of comfort? Notice how you are held. Whether it's on the floor, by the floor, whether it's the chair, by the chair. Notice your feet on the ground. Notice your spine, how your spine supports your body. Notice this. Notice how when you slouch your shoulders, what happens? And when you push your shoulders back, what happens? What happens to your breathing? Just notice. Become aware of you now in this space. And let's close our eyes and let's start off really by noticing our breath. And so just be the observer as you inhale and as you exhale. Just be the observer. And don't try and change anything. Sometimes what happens is when we become aware of our breathing, we extend it a little bit. We hold it a little bit. I'd love you to breathe and be the observer of your breath. And notice when you inhale how it feels in your nostrils, the back of your throat, your chest. Feel into the lungs as you inhale. And as you inhale and exhale, is there expansion in the chest? Is there expansion in the belly? Just notice. And notice this incredible mechanism that is your breath. Bringing oxygen, fresh oxygen into the body and releasing carbon dioxide, that which your body no longer needs. And as the observer of your breath, notice how you are doing nothing but observing. Notice how you are being breathed. And relax in that. And now you're going to take the reins. Now you're going to use your breath consciously. So now we're going to inhale slowly to the count of 5. So follow me. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now exhale slowly. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more time. 1, inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now return to normal breathing. And just notice as you let go of the reins, how you just breathe. It's neither good nor bad, right nor wrong. It's your life force as you inhale and exhale, and you are doing nothing. You are not consciously driving your breath. Now notice your mind. And maybe while we've been doing the breathing, you've had a number of thoughts that have come up, that have distracted you, that have taken you away from this moment. And just like we did with the breathing, notice your thinking. Be the observer of what's coming up for you. And that statement of mine may even get you to just start asking questions about what you should or shouldn't be doing right now. But notice how you're the observer. And there is the mind thinking, secreting thoughts. And just like with your breathing, you're not doing it. You, just like you were being breathed, you are being thought. And really be aware of that. Notice it. Pull yourself away and notice. And now, just like you took the reins earlier, when you started to consciously breathe, I'm going to ask you to take the reins with your awareness now. As a thought appears, I want you to notice that there's a thought, or that you're lost in a thought. And I want you to simply release that thought. Just let it go and see it disappear into the distance. And bring yourself back to this moment by being aware of your breath, the inhaling and the exhaling. And notice if another thought comes. You didn't create that thought. It just popped out of your mind. It popped into your conscious awareness. So be aware of it and now let it go. Don't engage. Don't breathe life. Don't believe it and get lost in it. Let it go. Let it do what your breath did. In and out. See it disappear and come back to your breathing in this moment. It is an easy concept, very easy, and yet it can be very difficult to do because we're not used to doing this. We are used to getting lost in our thoughts. That's what we do half of our day. So be gentle, be kind. If you get lost, that's fine. Bring yourself back. Notice, I've just got lost. And again, and again. And oh my goodness, I'm already in 3 stories deep. And it's fine. Let me release it. Let it flow. Let me continue. Bring myself back to the moment. the moment that is now. And now I'm going to be quiet for 30 seconds, and I want you to use every sense that you have except for sight, because your eyes are closed, and just immerse yourself in the wonder of the now. So the feeling of your body in this space, resting on whatever it is, the sounds around you, the temperature of the air, if there's any smell, if there's any taste in your mouth, and if there's a thought that comes, notice it, let it go, and get yourself back to your senses. Let's begin. Beautiful. Beautiful. There's no right or wrong here. The fact that you're here doing this, that you're willing to sit in this moment, that you're willing to surrender to the moment, experience something perhaps you never have, perhaps very challenging, that you're doing this is incredible. Gently opening your eyes. And give me some feedback if you'd like to. You don't have to. Quickly type in. I hear Niki who says that she suffers with anxiety and she needs to practice this. And really, really, Niki, this bringing yourself to the moment, to the now, is incredibly empowering, because it wakes you up from the movie that is your thinking. So when you're lost in that anxious thinking, projecting into the future, you're everywhere other than where you actually are, which is this moment. And it's exactly as you said, it is a practice. It is a practice. So let me know what it was like. Was it difficult? Could you feel the same as you felt with the breathing, that you were the observer of your breath? So when you first start, you're breathing and you're trying to change your breathing, you're extending it or you're holding it, and maybe that's all it was for you, but maybe for some of you, you felt the experience like you were the breathing, you were breath, and you felt that, and then you were the observer of it. And the same went with the thoughts, where you think you're in the thought, you're lost in the thought, and then you pull away and you notice that you are the observer of it. So I'd love to know. Yeah. And Niki's saying, difficult trying to just be quiet. Yes. Yes. And you know, Niki, you're not alone. You're not alone. You know, this is an issue with most people. And that's why more and more people are turning to something like mindfulness, meditation, or whatever it is that people do, because the mind is too busy. So how does this make sense? We're on autopilot. We're lost in a dream world with a very busy mind. You see, as soon as you start thinking, you're out of this moment. And we do it all the time. And you got to witness just how difficult it was, because you were lost and you had to bring yourself back, and lost and you were aware of the noise. But I will tell you that the more you practice this, the easier it gets. And you can still have difficult days. I have difficult days too. And I practice regularly, and I've been practicing for a long time. And I can sometimes sit and meditate and I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm planning, I'm thinking, I'm doing in my mind. And I never berate myself. I'm never angry with myself. It's kindness and compassion. And that's something I really, really want to stress, is that when you're doing this, it's not just paying attention. It's not just being aware. It's being aware with kindness and compassion. Because we know, and I've discussed this before, that the majority of us suffer from feelings of doubt, of thoughts of I'm not good enough, that I don't fit in, that I need to fit in, that people don't know me, people don't understand me, I need to be heard. And great deal of shame. We carry a lot of shame with us. And the researchers found that when you're operating in a state of shame, it closes down parts of the brain that are open to learning and expansion and connection. So the feeling of shame works against the learning, the opening up. And so this kind of meditation is not a shaming of yourself, like I was lost in thought most of the time. I wanted to just move my body. It was so uncomfortable. I wanted to scream. I wanted to clench my fist. That's fine. Your body is doing what your body is doing. Your mind is doing what your mind is doing. And you, the observer, are allowing that part of you to be with that part of you. Does that make sense? And you can get lost in thought, and you can feel that it's uncomfortable and it's difficult, and with absolute compassion and understanding and a gentle kindness, bring yourself back. Not you stupid, why can't I do it? I hate this. Gently, that's fine. Come back, release it. I see it disappearing. I come back. I feel into the breathing again, gentle, just like you would with a small child, with understanding and compassion and kindness. And Niki's saying, yes, especially with what's happening in her life, losing her job and a single mom. Niki, absolutely. And any moment when you're sitting quiet, the thoughts and the beliefs are going to get louder and louder and louder and louder. And so it's not an ignoring of them. So mindfulness is not ignoring a feeling of stress, a feeling of panic, pain in your body. Mindfulness, you're not trying to take your mind away from that. If anything, mindfulness is very much about turning towards it. In fact, I was going to do this next week, about really with feelings, opening the door, turning towards it. And let me explain why. When we're not prepared to go there, so that discomfort, Niki, that you were talking about, that sense of panic, that sense of overwhelm, wanting to scream and run, maybe hopelessness. These are my words, and I don't want to put my words onto you. I'm only feeling into how I would feel, and I'm expressing that. And everyone, you have a thought, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to pay for schooling for my child? How am I going to find a new job under these circumstances? And then every thought that you have brings about an experience. So I want you to sit for a moment and think about what is stressing you out. And stay quite open-minded with this one. Okay, Niki, stay quite open-minded. So if I say, and for all of you who are listening, what stresses you out? And you may say, well, my relationship stresses me out, or the current financial situation, or the COVID, or my this, or my not having a job, not paying for my rent. And now stay with me with this. Because last week I spoke about John Kabat-Zinn, and he was mentioning research about parents of highly, highly stressed parents of children who have chronic illness, and parents who don't have children who have chronic illness, but who have mild stress, and yet the degradation of the telomere was the same, that part of the chromosome that multiplies, which is affected when people are stressed, which breaks down. And they notice that these people have the same kind of damage to the telomeres. And what it speaks to is our relationship with stress, not what is happening in the external world. And try and listen to this, Niki. The unemployment is creating stress. What if I say that it is what you are thinking about the unemployment that is creating stress? So pause. Every experience you're having in your mind. So there is your job. You have lost your job. You now are not earning whatever it is you're earning. That is the reality. But you're not experiencing that. You're experiencing your mind. We only are ever experiencing our own mind. So whatever comes up, whatever thought comes up for us, whatever belief comes up for us, becomes our experience of that. And what affects this experience is all stuff that comes from past. You know, and all of this being unemployed, you could all of a sudden be thinking of times it's happened before. Or maybe when you were growing up and it happened when you were growing up. Or you saw it happening to a friend and it was a greatest fear. Whatever it is, all of these things, and it doesn't even have to be related to unemployment or finances, but it starts to circulate and bring up all the things. You see, I can't do it, I'm a failure, or I'm all alone. Whatever it is, I don't want to project my thoughts. I just want to give you examples. And all of that comes, and all of that is your thinking in the moment. And your thinking in the moment is what you are experiencing and not your reality. And so what I'm saying to you is the state of mind will pass and will change. And that this bigger side of you, the one who has this infinite wisdom, is fine. The observer of the thoughts that say, I'm not going to pay the bills. This is frightening. Because when you operate from here, you can deal with what reality gives you. So it's not about living in la land and saying, this is not my reality. But you get to have a say in how you handle this. So it's what is stressing me. Be very clear about what is creating the stress. It is what you're thinking and believing. So when we do this meditation and you have the silence and you don't have distraction, this mind, this thinking mind where there is fear and projecting into the future where you're going to be kicked out of your home and going into the past and what you could have done or who should be there supporting, and all of those things are impacting your experience of this moment now. And so you're not even experiencing your reality as it is. You experience it based from this mind that is filled with fear. And so you go into the movie. You're in the horror movie. And when you pull yourself out of that and you bring yourself into this moment, you will realize more and more your inner strength and your resilience. And so we use the Byron Katie, the questions over and over to wake us up to what is real. Because whatever plays out, Niki, whatever plays out, you will be able to handle it. You know, the greatest fear that comes out for you with not being employed, with not being able to support yourself, with being a single parent, that greatest fear, just sit with that fear. Sit with the feeling of it. As it comes, notice that you're having it. Notice that it's the madness. Notice that it's the thinking. You're the observer. You're here. Notice it and don't run away from the feeling. If that feeling is gripping you, if that feeling is creating that most terrible sensation, don't run away from it. Because running away from it closes it in. And it just gets bigger in the dark. Open it, feel it, notice it, allow it. Breathe, relax, feel. Allow it to be, and let the thought move on and see it's just a thought in the moment. So when you haven't been doing that a lot, Niki, it's difficult in the beginning. It's difficult. But keep doing it. Remembering that you are the observer and here are the thoughts. And this doesn't have anything to do with how difficult this reality is right now for you. But you want to manage yourself moment by moment by moment. Because notice that when you're not thinking about your job, when you're not thinking about your finances, when you're not thinking about that, and your child comes running into the room, and you see that they're breathing, and you hug, whatever, if it's a boy or a girl, and whatever it is, or you pick up a phone and there's a friend or a family member and it's that voice. When you're not thinking about that, feel into that joy, feel into that love. And isn't it amazing how your reality is the same, and yet you can feel so much joy and love and gratitude. You have your child, you have so much. It's just a state of mind that's changing and changing and changing. And when you don't sit into that observer and you get lost in the thinking, that over there is the suffering. So this meditation teaches us that more and more and more and more and more. Thank you, Niki. Very powerful. Louise Glick said, "We look at the world once in childhood. The rest is memory." I mean, what does that mean? How does that feel? We look at the world once in childhood. The rest is memory. Haven't I spoken about before about how this history of ours, this past of ours where we create these constructs of how we see the world? From a young age, we decide whether the world is good or bad, whether we can fit in, whether we're going to be accepted, and we continually try and do it to achieve, to get what we want, the fear of losing what we have, with this history that comes with it. And everything that we've seen once, we carry on, we bring it from absolutely when we first saw it. So Byron Katie says, when you eat a banana, or if you're walking and you see a tree, are you seeing the tree, or are you just experiencing your memory of a tree? I'd love to hear your comments. What do you think about that? That you experience something first once in childhood and the rest is just a memory. And if that is true for you, then what does that say about your relationships? What does that say about how you are in the moment with the people that you are with? So think about the first time you met your partner. Maybe you're with someone, or maybe you're not with someone, but the first time, that first impression, that everything, is that what's living? Is that what's being experienced time and time and time again when you're with them? Have you ever met them? So when you eat an apple, are you really eating an apple, or are you just chewing it and experiencing it based on your memory of apple? Because that's the default when we're not conscious, when we're not aware, when we're not awake, when we're not in the moment. So when we have that apple, we look at that apple as if for the first time. When our partner walks into the room, can we press chink, chink the reset button and have neutrality, not our post-its, not our judgments on all that time before, onto them. Can we experience them without the story we've conjured up in our mind? Yeah. Can we do that? When you are walking in the park and you walk past a tree, how about stopping and seeing that tree? Not tree. This. I mean, what if we don't even call it tree? Look at it. Look what's appeared before me. And when we cultivate this kind of awareness, it's a state of gratitude. It's a state of curiosity. It's not a turning away. It's not a basing it on what we saw first and now we're just reliving what we remember. We're really experiencing the moment now. And as soon as we get lost in a thought, we're away from the moment. We're out of this moment. And if we remember, observe, and we pull ourselves back, we're here. So from tomorrow, as you wake up, breathe in awareness from the moment you open your eyes. I open my eyes. I breathe. Feel my body. Put my feet on the ground. Now I feel where I was lying, where it's warm. Now the air is cool. This is a training. It's a training to be present when you wake up. Not as you wake up, you switch on your phone, you lost in a message, you sucked out, and you wonder why you are so stressed and why you're all over the place all the time, because you've just allowed yourself to be, boom, taken over. As you eat that apple, look at it, feel it, smell it, taste it. Make this your daily ritual. Make this the way you are in the world. It's your life. It's so precious. Look how quickly time has gone during lockdown. Like one day and another day, it's gone so fast. What stands out for you? The moments. Because we really have had time, and that's a lot of feedback I've had, is people are just slowing down and being in the moment when we're not lost in thought and the planning and the worry what's waiting and the worry and the worry and the worry and the worry. And this moment now, observer, I'm here. Darren Larson gave a wonderful talk about mindfulness. And I love what he said. He said, noticing you're alive is a taste that adults have to reacquire. Oh, apologies, that's very rude. I'll say that again. Noticing you're alive is a taste that adults have to acquire, reacquire. Think of a baby. The first time they taste something, the curiosity, sticking their fingers in, the giggling, the laughing, the enjoyment. Just think about the pain, the shock. Oh my goodness, I mustn't do that again. But knowing that every moment is such an adventure. This moment. Can we connect back with that self that is in love with the moment? The gift of the moment. The preciousness that is now and everything that now brings. So it's never turning away. It's never avoiding, it's turning towards. And with an open curiosity, you notice there's a pain. I don't turn away from the pain. I notice, I sit with it. I feel into that pain. Pain in my heart. So start to ask yourself questions like, what does it feel like to see? What does it feel like to hear? What does it feel like to taste? And just keep repeating these every day. What does it feel like to hug my child? Oh. What does it feel like to have a taste of the soup? What does it feel like to hear someone criticize me and just observe that and listen without allowing this to get sucked in, but allowing the observer and the greater part of me see the greater part in them expressing something? It's not a criticism. It's an observation. Wow, what is it like? What is it like to be present, to be open? So Sheila said, just eating the apple, no memory, but I see the tree and hug the tree, confused. Shields, you're going to have to expand on that. So the memory, so maybe because I said, I'm trying to go back when I said the memory, like how often are we eating something and we're experiencing it based on a memory? The taste, we know the taste of an apple. We're just eating it. We're not even aware of it. And so I love this concept that we experience something once in childhood and the rest is a memory. I mean, unless you're really conscious and aware, and unless it's really an extreme sour or an extreme sweet where you go, oh, it's very sour, you would just eat the apple. But when you bring awareness to it, you may notice a slight difference in this taste. That this apple is so juicy, or that it's very flowery, or that it's crisp and fresh. And it's not just anganga, eat, based on how we have experienced apples before. Tree. Walk past a tree. You know it's tree. Now walk past it without noticing tree and notice. As if you're noticing this for the first time. There's a name, tree. But notice. People. For the first time. So you don't have all the upsetness from before, right? And this person comes in and there's the history, their past experience, and there they are. Notice how I can experience them as just this person who's just entered. And what that's like. How that feels. And really, when you feel like you're being attacked by someone, when you're feeling stressed, notice what it's like to be the observer of that, where the ego is. How dare that person say that to me? How dare they? Or what am I going to do? I'm a person that's unemployed. This is, or notice. This is fear. These are my issues. This is a thinking mind. This is an ego. This is an identity. This isn't a story. This is a, who am I without that? This. Expansive. Not afraid. Connected and in absolute harmony, knowing that everything is happening for me. may not understand why. I may not understand why, Niki, why it's happening. But it's happening for me, not to me. Because the more I'm here, the resilience, the depth of who you are is here, your ability to deal with whatever, not that mind that tells you you can't. Or how shocking it's going to be. It's this. One feels more sensitive. Absolutely, Niki. One feels more sensitive. And I'm going to say it again, that some people feel that feeling more sensitive, there's a danger of being sensitive means that you're going to be overwhelmed, and you can, it can be dangerous to be sensitive to feeling and to emotion. Like it could weaken you. It can overwhelm you. No. Because emotion is energy in motion. Energy has to go somewhere. So when you don't want to feel it, or you don't want to be it, or you don't, and as I said, as you say, Niki, the apple, the seeing it as if it's for the first time allows the sensitivity, allows that to rise. When you don't, and you keep pushing it down, where does it go? It gets bigger. It becomes a thing. But if you allow it, if you notice the feeling, if you notice, that feeling, that pain, that fear, you're cold, you're hot, you're burning, you're aching, you want to scream, sit with it. And notice how it passes when you're experiencing it from here. With the clarity of not sucked into that, but the clarity of this moment, this now, this who I am. I can feel it and I don't have to be afraid of it. Let me feel, let me breathe, let me relax. This is all a process about managing ourselves, because we have no control over our external world. This external world is unfolding as it unfolds. So we have to love those that we have in our lives in the moment that we have with them. We have to resolve those unresolved issues that we think will resolve one day, that we think we're going to live forever. We need to resolve them now. We need to have clean air, space, mind now, not tomorrow. Because this unfolding reality, we don't know what it will bring us. This is a moment in time. We're in it. But we can go to our inner world, and that's what we can light up. Wake up to what is real, what is not real. This experience is coming from my mind, not from that, from my mind. The thought will pass. Is it true? Can I absolutely know it's true? How do I react when I believe the thought? And who would I be without this thought? You're just taking something and you letting it go. Clarity. It's never that. It's what I'm thinking and believing in here about that. So, awareness, being conscious, being awake, asking yourself a question. What does it feel like to breathe, to see, to taste? A reminder that we create our own experience of our life. Not anyone else, not the external world. That's just happening. We get to create what we want to create. So I thank you so much. This was a long one. I thank you so much for spending your Monday evening with me. You know, sometimes there are going to be concepts that are difficult to get your head around, and please feel free to contact me. Email me, Niki at nikiseberini.com. Niki spelled Niki. I'm more than happy to engage with you if you've got questions. And if you feel like you need any more kind of support, you can also email me. I will be back next Monday. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you. There were a whole lot of people who would prefer the session to be on a Tuesday because they have something already on a Monday, so they could only make a Thursday. And they asked if I could do this on a Tuesday. How do you feel about it? Just quickly say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. So I'm thinking of doing it next Tuesday, but I will send out correspondence. I'll have it out on social media. Let me know what your preference is, Monday or Tuesday. And look after yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be compassionate. When you slip up and you get lost in a thought, it's your brain, it's your mind. It's fine. It's fine. With kindness, bring yourself back. Wake yourself up. Thank you so much. A privilege, an honor to be with you. Thank you for your time. Until next week, take care.